Yo,
Andrew, man,
hey, hey,
how you doing?
what's good, bro? How are you?
All good, man. All good. How are you,
How we doing out there today? Everybody good?
mate? Look at the bright colours over here. We've got the green, we've got the yellow. You know, keeping it upbeat.
We
Like
are, man. That's what we're doing, man. We're gonna keep it nice and bright today. You know,
since we dropped the episode. How you been since we dropped the episode? How you been living?
I've been living, man. I've been good. How about you?
Not bad, man. Not bad. What's the latest with the Valet stuff, man? What's the latest? I saw a few tweets here and there.
Man, he's working. He's always working. He's got a lot of stuff, pending, finishing some music up, but
Mm.
any day now he's working on a project with his little brother, Kill Carter, who's really dope producer, artist from Chicago.
Yeah.
And they've been working on a project that is, I think they got probably, I don't know, 12, 13 songs done. So they're just kind of, wrapping that up right now.
Yeah, yeah. How is it, Chicago, man? Because I know it. Obviously, thank you again for joining us on the pod. The Tupac chat was real. We've had some great feedback just generally on that, and obviously we did the Cube chat with Sean Taro. We've got others coming up, but I actually didn't get to chat to you a lot about Fate Short Drive. I didn't get to chat to you a lot about Chicago and the scene in Chicago. So I was wondering if you could paint a picture for me, like at the moment, what are people feeling? What's being bumped? Anything we should look out for coming out of Chicago
I
or the
mean,
Midwest?
it's always active. There's always a lot of stuff going on here. The scene is hot. Obviously, there's been a lot of changes just because of the pandemic and stuff. So things are a little more difficult now. It's harder to you know, be outside or be in clubs or events to know what's really going off. Like, what are some of the records that are going off locally?
Mm,
Everything's online now,
yeah.
for the most part. So, but it should be good. People are being active. People have been creative, working, trying to get
Mm.
stuff out during this time for sure.
The people you're talking to just around you, what's the music you guys are talking about from 2020 that's new? Like, is there anything that just generally people have been talking a lot about with you?
Well, somebody from Chicago.
Well, I was thinking generally for 2020, just any music that's been who's like what's on everyone's minds at the moment. Who do you think's getting like who's ruling conversations in your circles?
Man, everybody's like super excited about Gibbs. Freddie Gibbs, he's had a crazy year. He's from the
Mm,
area. We've watched him come up, and everybody's
mm,
really happy for him and all the success that he's having.
mm,
Obviously, Herb, Dirk, Polo G, they've had the city going crazy,
mm,
as well.
mm. The Gibbs stuff is interesting because when you look at Gibbs, I was like, I'm waiting to see what he does next now because his collabs with producers are amazing. I just didn't know what I want next. What would you want? What would you want from Gibbs next? What are you ready for?
He's dropping. Actually, he has a song coming out with Hit Boy and Big Sean tonight. Um,
Nice.
so I know he's working on some stuff. He's on Warner Brothers now,
Mm,
so he's
mm,
about to drop like his major label thing. So,
mm.
um, I haven't heard any of the music either. I'm just excited to hear it. I'm just a
Yeah,
fan, man.
yeah,
Just
man. Yeah, and yeah. I mean, again, talking to fan, like the Tupac chat was fire, bro. I've been checking out some of those Machiavelli like offcuts that you sent.
mm, mm.
I know we talked about it on the episode, but I got that link from you, and man, yeah,
How'd you
like
like those?
serious. Yeah, I mean, it just makes you think he was naturally ready for a. It could have been a double disc. That thing could have been a double disc with some of those offcuts that you had there.
And most of those did. The thing about those songs are that I sent you, a lot of those, most of those have ended up somewhere at some point, whether they just took a verse off
Mm,
and put it on another song. Like, most of those songs didn't come out as they were. When the Machiavelli bootlegs came out, and I was having to go to these shady mom and pop shops and like meet people in gas station parking lots to buy them, and they were like $30 a pop for one CD.
mm,
Those songs were the way that they originally intended them to be heard. Those were
mm,
they. I don't know if they were done, but they were what Pac had created himself. But
mm, mm,
when they eventually came out on like other albums that he would had dropped later on, some of his posthumous releases, um,
mm.
it, they weren't in that form. They were like different producers. There'd be like Jazzy Faye or Eminem would be producing them, and they were like putting different features on them. They were taking like, you know, the Outlaws off, or different people that he actually worked with, and putting like current people on there, like Trick Daddy, you know, Ashanti or whatever. So like the public really hasn't heard a lot of those songs.
That's some of those. I mean, you hear so much over the years, you kind of forget as well. So there was, out of those, I was genuinely, it hit me fresh. So yeah, I mean, just listening to that, and I was just like, just imagining. Well, I didn't get to ask you this actually. I would have liked to ask you this on the episode, but of all the Pac sessions and the music that we love, if you could have had the chance, one chance, Andrew, to be like a fly on the wall on one of those sessions, what session and why would you want it for Pac, that Pac run?
For one of the unreleased, or any of the albums that we discussed?
Any of those on those that we discussed. That's Me Against the World and
All Eyes on Me, for sure. All Eyes on Me, 100%. That was like seemed like a party. It seemed like a good time. Be in that.
Yeah, man. It felt like every time someone was just around, they would just jump on the mic. That's what the energy was like. You know, Meth's in town. All right, cool, man. You got any bars? Let's go, kind of thing. It felt really almost spontaneous. Do you know what I
mean? Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
It was a good vibe. It felt like a celebratory album. That's why I like it so much. It really just seemed like a celebratory album, and you know, he was happy to be free and be with Death Row and putting that. What up, Miles? And my guy Taylor in here. What up, fellas? How you doing?
Yeah, nice to join us, man. Thank you, everyone in there. I've been missing a few comments there, but yeah, big up everyone watching. Yeah, I mean, that's very interesting. I know we focused a lot on Pac. We focused a lot on that because I approached you and you were like, I'm ready to do Pac. I was like, okay, let's go. I'm here for this. Out of those ones that we have picked, so that's Gangstar, De La Soul, Outkast, Tribe. If it wasn't Pac, which one of those would you have gone for, would you reckon, to fight for out of those runs in the 90s?
Some of the other ones that people did. Did anybody do Jay-Z?
Do you know what? No. Because
I would have done Jay-Z probably, to be honest with you.
Doubt, Volume 1, Volume 2.
What were the other ones? Ice Cube probably not. Mobb Deep was a strong pick. I like that. I like those three.
Yeah.
Who else was on there? De La Soul. You know, I like all that stuff, but I don't feel necessarily as passionate about it as like Outkast would probably be the one.
Yeah, man. That's a wild run. Well, even into Stankonia and into the noughties, man. Absolutely mental run that was. So Andrew, if we were talking about like great discographies and classics, I had a few questions for you just generally on that, which was like, what are the prerequisites in your eyes for you for a great catalogue, for a great discography? Because I've had a few chats with other people on the podcast, and there's a lot of different takes. So just what was yours?
On what makes a classic album?
Classic discography, like a classic catalogue. Or, you know, there's great or classic kind of thing.
I mean, stuff that just holds up and is still, you know, is in the conversation. I think obviously it has to be great. The music has to be great, and it just has to be held up. I mean, there was stuff that people probably thought was classic when it first came out that didn't hold up. That, you know, people might have said it was one of those things. It was a classic immediately, but it didn't necessarily hold up over time. Like, it didn't last 15, 20 years. It didn't stand the test of time, so to speak. So I think you got to survive the test of time and have people still talking about you, and then have something that, you know, almost can paint. It's like a timestamp of that time, that era, and can really bring you to that time, almost like a movie.
Do you think you want to, because this is one of the touching points I've talked to people about, how important is like growth and experimentation within a catalogue for you, for your favourite artists? Is that really important or not so much?
No, I mean, I think it is. I mean, nobody wants to, I mean, some people act, you know, you're never going to make fans happy because they're going to be like, you know, I want more of what you did before. They want, you know, they want you to keep making the same thing over and over again. But I think, you know, expanding is great. I mean, I think nobody's done that better than Outkast. they would take a couple years between albums. I mean, they pretty much dropped like, every 2 years. I think they were dropping every 2 to 3 years, and so that gave them enough time to, they had time to like take their time and really expand and grow on their sound. And a lot of times, in this new era, there's not a lot of artists that can do that. Like, you got to drop like 2 or 3 things a year, so you don't really have that much. The rules of engagement have changed a lot. So,
True.
they were able to really refine their sound and create new things, and everything sounded different. Everything was an elevation.
That's interesting, though, when you say it's a different ball game, because it's interesting when you look at growth, as in like what you just said there, with Outkast experimenting, taking their time, tweaking their sound to something different. But then you have other discographies like Mob's catalogue. We talked about Mob, and they don't do that so much, but what they do is what they do well, and they always bring fire that way. Yeah, just find it really interesting how people like kind of.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, that was their strong suit. That was Mobb Deep's strong thing, was like they didn't stray too far from the formula. They knew what their fans wanted, and they delivered every time. But it was always like a very, solid project. And, I don't think, people wanted them to really try to experiment and do too much. They just wanted that raw, gritty, material.
Yeah. Okay. Is there well, actually, before I move on to my next question, just out of interest, where do you stand on how long it takes to call an album a classic? Because I see this like argument raging on Twitter every time someone big drops an album, like Damn from Kendrick or a new Cole project. Where do you stand on it? Do you think there is a timeline before you can call something a classic?
I mean, sometimes I think that, because I remember when it was written, dropped, and there was a lot of hate for that album because it didn't sound like Illmatic, and it was so different, and it had Trackmasters beats, and it was more, of a commercial album. A lot of people were upset about that when it dropped, but now you see the arguments online where it's like it was written as better than Illmatic, and that I don't think that was something that we would have, an argument people would have made even, like 10 years ago. I feel like that's a new thing. So people have had a lot of time to sit with that album. So I think there's cases where, okay, I think you could tell when something is a classic, like off the bat, certain things. But then some of them you might say is a classic, but maybe they don't hold up over time, or sometimes it just takes years to grow to really appreciate. It's like a wine. It takes time to really appreciate, everything that was there and dissect everything.
Yeah, fair, man. It's fair. Was there any like runs where you would look at it and think that might be a run that is slept on in the 90s? Is there a 90s run of like an artist? So I've heard a few people shout for Naughty by Nature, a few people shout for Beasties. Was there any artists? I know you love No Limit. Do you think there's something in there?
No, I wouldn't say. I think No Limit had great songs, and I really liked a lot of their albums, but I don't know if any of them had 3 classics. Like I like MP, The Last Dawn, and Ghetto D, and Ice Cream Man. I get, those were 3 albums that I loved. I think I did talk about that. I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily as good as some of the other stuff that we discussed, but they were more of a quantity over quality. If they would have taken a little bit more time, maybe. But the greatness wouldn't have been there. That's the thing. Like, it's woulda, coulda, shoulda now. But their thing was, let's put 30 songs on a CD and try to fill up the whole CD as much as we can, just so it's a value to people. So, I don't think they were thinking about it like that. I think they were just, it was more of a factory type of way to put out music.
Okay. Yeah. Fair. Is there any ones that you think, though, that probably need a bit more shine, or like just you generally prefer, or you just,
on No Limit?
Just generally, just in 90s like rap, are there any other ones that you feel need to a bit more shine?
I don't know. Probably. Dog Pound, Corrupt, Daz. I think they had but they were like branching off doing solo stuff. Who has a really strong 90s catalog is 8 Ball and MJG.
That's a shout. That is a shout.
A-Ball and MJG have a great 90s catalog from, you know, but then they had solo projects breaking it up. So it's like a lot of that stuff you can't necessarily count, but, you know, I definitely think they dropped, you know, at least two classics in the 90s. Maybe some would say three.
So this is the thing with 8-Ball and MJG. I know select tracks, but I know like one album I rinsed. If there was an album where you would say to someone, right, that's the one you should really start with those guys, is there one that comes to mind?
On Top of the World, probably. That's probably my favorite. That in Our Lifetime. Those are like tied for me. Those are like, yeah, Pay Dues. Somebody just said Pay Dues, but CeeLo.
Yeah.
Both of those projects are great. Like In My Lifetime is like more of almost like a grown up. They was like, to me, it was like them taking a step to like saying, all right, we're like maturing it's more of a mature sound. Like Organized Noise did some of those beats. T-Mix did a lot of them. I mean, T-Mix did their stuff, but it's more of a mature sounding album. But like On Top of the World was the one that was like, it's just a really dope album.
Wicked. Cheers for that. Big up, man. Big up. Yeah, I appreciate that. Is there what was the other thing I was going to ask you? Actually, there was well, actually, that one thing about these like catalogs outside the 90s. Who are the kind of runs apart from Kanye? Everyone knows that run is crazy. That you think you'll be revisiting? That, you know, in 10 years, do you reckon any of these new acts you will be revisiting these kind of catalogs?
You mean like some stuff that's dropped over the last 10 years?
Yeah, last decade or so.
I think people are going to look at Gibbs. So a lot of the stuff that Gibbs dropped, but like, you know, when you ask the question, are we talking like 3 back-to-back classics, or is this like could be dropped out of order? You know, because I feel like that what we went on for your list was in order 3 things that dropped 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
You know, I personally think Pusha T has a really strong solo catalog. You know, King Push, My Name Is My Name.
Numbers, yeah, that's Numbers on the Board, that one. Yeah.
And then Daytona, those were all good. You know, I really like the Clips catalog. I think their first 2 albums are beyond classic, but I don't know about the third one.
That Clips one.
You know who has a really good catalog that people kind of overlook is BG from Cash Money. He has a strong like 4-album catalog.
Wow.
And then of course Wayne, you know, when people are gonna, and then we also have to measure mixtapes. Like, does Gucci have 3 classic mixtapes? Absolutely, but they probably didn't drop like concurrently.
Yeah. But when you say mixtapes, I started thinking of Lupe's mixtape run, and that mixtape run back in the noughties.
Yeah, I mean, Lupe has 2 classic albums, in my opinion, The Cool and Food and Liquor. You know, I like Lasers, but I wouldn't say it's a classic, but Lasers is cool.
I think that's the thing. When you've made 2 bona fide classics, you can, when you experiment and don't nail the landing, I'm okay with that. I'm actually all right with that. I think he tried that with Lasers. He tried it as he keeps going. He tries different things, and sometimes it lands and sometimes it doesn't. But because he's had that, I'm all good with it.
Well, I think also like one thing that I've noticed that it's just even having an artist that's on a major, managing an artist that's on a major is like when you have a hit, expectations are different. So like, you know, Superstar becomes this huge record. So of course the label is going to give you a different, they're gonna expect, you know, give us another one of those. So, you know, we're not putting out the album till you give us another one of those because you sold X. And now, you know, you sold, so now we expect you to go platinum. I think that's what happens a lot. Like, if a hit can be a gift and a curse a lot of times because the pressure is different and the expectations are different.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, yeah. It's fascinating where it is now, because I think it was where Spotify was saying, wasn't it, the CEO said something like everyone should be dropping like 2 albums like a year. Do you think it's going to go that way? I mean, I know people are at the moment, but can you see like established acts doing that?
You know what? It's crazy. He kind of got a lot of shit for that, but I think, you know, maybe he wasn't the one that should have said that, but what he said, you know, does have a lot of truth. I mean, those are the people that are winning, that are putting out like multiple things a year. Do I think it's necessarily good for the music or the art? Probably not. But what up, Manny? But you know,
Yeah.
that's just the way it is now, man. You got to stay in the conversation always. But I think there's other ways to do that now. I think people are utilizing social media and whatnot to stay in the conversation. But it's almost like music is a lost leader now.
Yeah. Do you think that's kind of sad, man? Because where do you think people like your J. Cole's and your Kendricks who don't drop projects frequently, where's that leaving artists like that, like going
Yeah, but
ahead?
you know what? Only a couple artists. That's why you can only name like 2 people that can do that, because it's only like 2 or 3 artists that can do that. Hardly any artist can just
Yeah.
drop a couple years. It's just that you have to be on a certain level.
It's a different game now. You think that's the next big artists are always going to be heavy volume, a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
the rules of engagement have changed, but like not everybody has to play by those rules, and like there's different ways to define success now. I don't think like just selling a lot of records is necessarily what is successful now.
Yeah.
I think that 2015, 20, even probably 10 years ago, but closer to 20, like it was a finite amount of famous people in the world. It was only like X amount of famous people, X amount of artists. That's why you knew every #1 song that was coming out. You knew every song that was like top 10 on the charts. You'd heard everything. Now stuff can be #1 on Billboard and you never even heard it. You don't know who the artist is. You never heard the song. These records aren't ubiquitous because they exist in certain places where not everybody is. And there's so many different ways to get content now,
How are you finding it as a manager, mate? As someone who's managing talent in this kind of business right now, how are you finding it?
Like finding new talent or
No.
finding...
How are you managing it? How are you, like, as you said there's different ways of success to measure success.
I mean, there's, I think you just need people. You need enough people to pay attention to you, because not every artist is going to be like #1 and have big chart hits and whatever. And like just managing like Valee is like, he doesn't necessarily want to make those type of records or do that type of stuff. Like he doesn't want to do that. He wants to do what he wants to do, and he wants to create his type of art. So I'm going to let him create his type of art. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to, like, I don't have a lot of artists that I manage, but with one, like, I think you want to, like, do what they want to do. And if they decide that they don't want to put, if he don't, I'm not going to force his hand to try to put out something that he doesn't want to, put out. So I fall back, I might think it's really good and should be coming out, but if he doesn't like it, he's not with it, then we're not going to move on that. I mean, I think you got to do what the artist wants to do a lot of times and provide input where you can. Everybody's different. Every situation is different.
Yeah. No, fascinating insight, just because I don't get to see.
What up, Joe?
Yeah, man. The boys are in. Love it. Yeah, just interested to see what it's like right now, because it just must be like keep your head in the swivel, because just working in the content game generally, and I hate to use that word, but generally it becomes that, where you're just kind of trying to, as you said, stay relevant. So you want to stay in the conversation. There's just 101 ways now to do that. This is one way, having a live conversation. There's, TikTok. There's all these things. I'm just wondering, as a manager, does it sometimes get you to the point where you're like, damn, man, there's just so many things you could potentially go down. Do you know what I mean? But I suppose
people have audiences on different platforms, and they can, and not to say one's better than the other. I mean, obviously, I think the whole model, the whole business model for labels and like the music business now is TikTok. Like they're only focused on like breaking a record on TikTok. If it goes viral on TikTok, that's how it goes to the top. But like, the music discussions are happening on Twitter or even like Clubhouse now. That's like Clubhouse is the new app that everybody's on talking industry stuff. And, there's always going to be something new, and different stars will emerge on different platforms. And that's why you don't know, like there's some of these TikTok stars that I have no idea who they are, but their Q rating or whatever is through the roof, and like they're as famous as anybody that was as famous in the world as when I was in high school. You just I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know who they are.
That's mad, man. That is mad when you put it like that. What excites you then now, like as a fan? And I think and again, thank you for coming on and bringing that perspective, because that real fan perspective came out. But again, a lot of people were loving the jewels you were dropping generally. There's a lot of good knowledge. What excites you about the current scene right now? Rap generally.
I'm always looking for something different and something new and something that like, can appeal to, I think what a lot of the stuff that I like, sometimes it has like an old school flair to it, but I also like very unique sounding stuff that doesn't sound like anybody else. I mean, I think when I was younger and just as a fan before I got in the industry, I was always looking for things that sounded different, things that looked different. So, you know, look, no idea is original anymore, but you know, I just look for stuff that's different, that's not trying to sound like everything else.
Anything you could hit us up with and recommend? Any rabbit holes we can go down? Any artists?
I'll get back to you on that.
Fair, man. Fair. That's all good. Who up next in Chicago? Asks I am King Da Vinci. There you go.
I don't know. I don't even know. I can't tell you that. You, King Da Vinci, is up next.
You're not outside, man. This is the problem. When you're inside, it's very hard to know what's going on out there, man.
I mean, I haven't been listening to stuff that's like club music because I've been listening to more like lyric-based stuff. Man, there's this dude named Judy that I just started listening to from Chicago that I like a lot. And I've been checking out the new Brittany Carter project. She's dope. But there's this dude named Judy. I think his project is called like Ard Bent. I just found it like randomly last weekend. I've been playing it a lot, so I'm a big fan of that.
Wicked,
for sure.
Wicked.
You know, and I'm gonna be playing like a lot of unreleased Valee stuff. So hopefully we'll get that out soon.
Them little Easter eggs, I love it. Love that, man. Well, Andrew, man, before you did go, I did actually want to ask about like I know we recorded time ago for the Pack episode. So is there anything we should keep our eye out on, or is there anything in the works that you're looking to plug, or should we just watch?
Yeah, I got some stuff coming up that I'm working on. I really can't say anything yet because the ink isn't dry, but we got some cool stuff coming. Okay. You know, it's been a challenging year, obviously just because of the pandemic and the industry's changed in a lot of different ways. But you know, I think things are going to be turning around soon. So stay tuned.
Yeah, man, hit us up. We'll share that out, man, to our listeners and that. So
what about you? You tell me. What do you have going on? You plug yourself.
Andrew, man, what have we got going on? We're looking decent, man. Just interviewed Elzai the other day, which was good. I really enjoy his new album. I think he's an interesting artist, so that's pretty good. And Stretch and Babito. So we've been kind of just like interviewing out there. I've got a big one lined up for next week, but I don't know if I land this rapper, it'll be very big. I can't give that away too much. But really, man, it's interviews and the podcast game is, as you said, man, 24/7. Like you can't switch off. Like you're just on it. But this is what's interesting when I see you on Twitter. It's like it's a very interesting portal into how someone communicates their love for rap on social platforms. Really hard to do that, man. Like as a person who isn't usually on there, to see someone every time you're typing something, it's because you love that. Do you know what I mean? It's a very hard thing to
I don't try to like clog the timeline with stuff that I'm not passionate about, or like I'm very selective with what I will tweet or post or talk about. Like I try to keep it like all negativity off. I don't try to, delve into that, and I try to keep things positive and really just discuss things that I like from what up, Larry? It could be Jack, what up? It could be anything that, I like and feel passionate about, from 20 years ago, 30 years ago to, 30 days ago. I love it all. I love every era and try to talk, as much about it as I can. I'm probably more well-versed than some of the older stuff. And I just feel like a lot of that stuff, that's a lot of stuff gets buried. And I feel like a lot of times people just want to talk about the same 5-10 artists, same 5-10 albums, but there was more than that happening. So that's why I kind of, I almost approach it from an educational standpoint. And I don't try to come off as preachy, but I just, I want people to know this information because I can't take it with me.
Yeah. It's almost like you want it in a book or something, right? Because when I see all these interactions, and like you said, there's hidden gems. There's these like moments in rap that just kind of get swept on, especially coming from our end, which is the 90s, noughties. There was so much happening then. Things get lost. So when you drop like old cover of, I don't know, a Cash Money album that I've just not even seen before, and I'm like, wow, okay, let's check this out. I feel like if I had that as something I could read through or listen to. Like I said to you before, man, like getting you on pods would be amazing. I know people have said that to you before, but I feel like that's just a really interesting way to document this love that you have, this passion for hip hop, man. And yeah,
Right.
so
Right.
I'm well here
And
for
that's
that.
why I kind of switched up what I was doing, like with just blogging changing and like just, where I was in life and what I was feeling and just about the industry in general. Like, I wanted to, just try to tell people about some other music and things that I was passionate about. And because there's other people out there that like it or want to learn or are curious about it. I'm not saying I'm an expert or the all-seeing eye or anything like that, but I definitely try to, put people onto stuff that they may have missed or forgotten about or doesn't necessarily get the credit it deserves now because it's just overshadowed by, so much other stuff that's out there.
Yeah. And it's just fascinating that you come from that blogging era as well. Because that era kind of, I was in it, but I wasn't fully versed like all the blogs. I wasn't there. I had like certain forums I really enjoyed, but I don't think
Right.
there'd been a real movement of that, just as especially in rap. I suppose in most music, but for me, it was like finding these weird artists that I've maybe not heard before. I think to find Danny Brown like that, I think I found it through forums. Um, how do you
Yeah.
look back on that now? How do you look back on like that time
I
when
mean,
you were?
what I really like is that there's like we're in like full blog era nostalgia right now, and like everybody is, giving props to the artists from the blog era or the bloggers from the blog era because that was an important time. Like really, that was a bridge between the old industry and where we are currently, like in the streaming era, and we made a lot happen with a little. Like there wasn't a lot of money going around at the time. Not in a way now where like brands are involved and um, labels are flush with cash again. Like we didn't necessarily have that, and a lot of those artists who were the trendsetters and the top people of that era, they didn't necessarily get their just due. So that's why I try to give them, I know, flat giving flowers is kind of overused and corny at this point, but I still say it because, I want a lot of those artists to make sure that they get their props and they make the history books because they didn't necessarily get to enjoy the new certifications on the charts or the new streaming. There wasn't a rap caviar then. There wasn't playlisting. There wasn't, streams didn't count towards anything. Like people didn't take streaming serious then.
Mm.
Um, I was the one that brought it up, on the Grammy board to say, hey, look, streaming only albums need to be up for Grammys.
Yeah.
I brought that to the table. It got shot down like 2 years in a row. Then eventually they passed that, but that was the future, and I think that was the thing with hip hop. Like it never died as far as relevancy or being the cool genre. They just didn't. It just the metrics weren't updated for where fans were. The rap fans move fast. They're streaming. They're consuming things differently, and the Billboard charts and the RIAA certifications weren't able to keep up to reflect that.
Do you think there's anything in the modern era that maybe needs to catch up? Is there anything that you find like you have a few gripes with where you're like, yeah, they need to catch up with this, or is there anything like that that maybe I'm not even just clued up on?
I mean, just some stuff I can't really say, but
No,
I think a lot of times major labels move a little too slow. They're not as agile as they could be, but that's also because they're huge companies and there's a lot of red tape that goes into that. But like sometimes getting stuff out on that can be a headache because there's so many checks and balances and attorneys of attorneys you got to go through. Because this stuff is quick, like only a few artists can like upload somebody saying don't give out the sauce. Yeah, I can't give out the sauce. I can give out some sauce. I try to give out look, I don't try to hold information. I try to give information. I try to get it out there for sure.
Yeah. No, I understand, man. I understand. It's just interesting because then you have these like Open Mike Eagle, you have like these independent guys who've been doing it for just a minute. And yeah, man, it's just like the argument between being on a major, being independent. There's pros and cons to each side of it.
Right.
So, yeah,
I mean, it's pros and cons, but like indie artists are eating right now if they own their catalog. I think what Chance and his team did was genius because now nobody can tour. They're able to live on their music, and not a lot of artists on majors can.
Big up, John. Yeah, that's interesting, man. What did he do then? Break that down, just for people who may not know. What was the actual thing that he did that was different to what
I mean,
everyone
he
else?
owns all his music. He didn't sign to a major. I don't know how all the numbers break out, but like he's not on a major, so he doesn't have somebody taking a big cut of it.
Mm.
He's get, you know, when you're on a major, depending on like what your deal is, like
Mm.
streaming, most of the streaming money or all the streaming money basically comes from the master side.
Yeah.
If you own your pub and like you're getting syncs and you're getting placements and things like that, then
Mm.
you're definitely able to make some money. But like the master side is really where you're making your money on the streaming right now.
Yeah, man. Wicked. Well, Andrew, man, I was going to ask you before you do cut off and leave us. Say the virus is gone. Say the pandemic's done. Who's the first act you'd want to see live? If you had a ticket, right, who would be the first? Big up Gloom.
Probably Lil Wayne.
Oh, with the funeral album.
I don't care, but I don't really like that album. I mean, it's fine, but I think that would be a fun concert to go to. I want to see him do like mixtape songs.
Yeah, Travis Scott. That's a shout, by the way, there, Kirk. Fair play.
Riley says, "What up? What up?" Riley says, "Baby Keem." I like Baby Keem. I would go to a Baby Keem. Yo, Baby Keem had a show in Chicago. Like, man, was that right before the pandemic or super late last year? It was sold out. It was crazy.
Damn. Okay. Yeah, because what's the scene in Chicago saying? Is there quite a lot of places that play that do live shows there?
They had a thing going before it started getting cold. They were doing these drive-in shows, like drive-in movies.
Oh, okay.
They were doing those like on the lakefront, like where people could just like drive in and you could, it was like $80 per car, and you could sit there and watch it. I don't know how well that took off or not, if at all, but now it's getting cold. It's like it's like 40 degrees this morning, and it's only going to get colder. So, and Chicago's getting basically shut down again. Somebody said Griselda. Project Philo said Griselda. Yeah, dude, and Griselda had a show right before everything shut down, and I didn't go to it. I'm still kicking myself for that.
Oh, man. What's that one? Children of Zeus did a sit-down show recently at the Jazz Cafe by Metal Zingers. MF Gloom in the house. That is... Have you heard of Children of Zeus? Have you heard these guys? They're good, man. They're good.
They British?
Yeah. I think they're from London, right? I think they're from London. But yeah, no, they've got a bit of hype. They're doing well. A sit-down show. Fair play. Don Tolliver says Rio Rari. What do you think's Don Tolliver, Andrew?
He's cool.
Yeah. It's party music, man.
It's good.
That party music.
I can't really do much with it right now, but I mean, I understand why people like him for sure.
Okay. Manchester. There we go. They're from Manchester. There we are. Children of Zeus. Any other questions for us, guys, before we jump off? Because, I thought an open Q&A with Andrew Barber. Let's go. But I'm ready. While we're waiting, I'm ready, Andrew, for the next one. If you want to bring some No Limit, if you want to bring anything else, I'm ready. Dog food. I'm ready for the next one.
I mean, we can talk about anything No Limit. Like, let's see. Did you ever get to see Common during Resurrection through like Water for Chocolate? I saw like Water for Chocolate Common era. I saw him perform around that time. Some of those other ones I was a little too young to go to shows for. But dude, I saw Outkast in '99.
Was that Stankonia? Is that Stankonia at all?
Yeah, they got booked to perform at college that one of my buddies went to. My buddy went to Wabash College in Indiana, and I saw Outkast perform in basically a high school gym.
What?
Shit was crazy. Yeah, the sound. It was the worst sound system I've ever heard. Yeah, it was. I've seen a lot of artists that were big, perform early on. Like I remember, I went to right when Fake Shore Drive had started. This is like 06. No, this is 07. The Pack, if you remember the group, the Pack, Little B's group, they had a show at this place called Shuba's in Chicago. Very small venue, like 150 cat max. It's like in the back of a bar. And the Pack was headlining, and opening up the show was Tyga. And Tyga went on at like when the doors opened, and me and my wife, she wasn't my wife then, but she's my wife now. We were there like when the doors opened. So there was like 4 people in the room to see Tyga perform. I think he had the Lime and the Coconut. I think that was his only song that he had at that. And maybe probably some other stuff, but the only one that I knew was the Lime and the Coconut. And
Damn.
after his show, Tyga was in the hallway, like in this small, tight little hallway with a card table selling his own merch, selling his own T-shirts.
Damn. What year is this? That must have been like
07.
07.
07 or 0. I think it was 07 or 08. And somewhere around that time. That shit was crazy.
That's crazy.
Joey
man.
Perp. What up, Perp? I'm excited for some new Joey Perp. Joey Perp's in here.
Let's go.
He's been teasing me some. He let me hear some music. Recently it sounded good. The Leather Chords is coming, I think, too. So I'm waiting on that, Joey. Stop playing around.
Let's go, man. And what else we got here? Metal Zingers. Thoughts on the latest album releases? Benny, open mic. What you got, Andrew? Is there anything on the new releases that you've been? I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but what do you think to Benny's album?
I like Benny's album. I like Willie the Kid's album. Oh, Joey Perp, here you hear it first. Fourth quarter. It's fourth quarter, baby. The clock is ticking. You got 2 more months, Joe. But I really like the Willie the Kid project. Capital Games. Have you heard that?
I haven't. No.
Dude, you got to check that out, man. It's like smooth. Like if you like all that Griselda type of stuff, it's real nice. It's really smooth. Again, this Judy, I like this Judy project a lot that I've been listening to. Check out Brittany Carter. She's kind of got like a Bahamadia type of vibe. I like her. I think she's dope.
Sweet.
Anything else that I'm missing? No, that's it. Check out Willie.
I like that, man.
We need more Valee tracks. Yes, we do. Tell Valee. Go spam Valee's pages, spam his IG, spam his Twitter.
Yeah.
It's working. We're getting closer.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Out of the Griselda crew, though, they're always dropping a lot of albums. What are the ones you've been spinning this year that you think that probably are going to keep spinning out of those? Conway drop, Benny drop, West drop.
I think my favorite one is Pray for Paris. That dropped this year. I think that's that. Oh, Boldy James. My favorite album of the year is Boldy James, Price to Tea in China.
Yeah. Oh,
that's my favorite one. I think that's, I love everything that Alchemist has been doing. So I'm why doesn't Valee drop more music?
Just say,
man, everybody's spamming us with Valee questions. I'm gonna have to get on live with Valee if I can make him do it so he can answer these questions for you.
Mate, that will go through the roof. The numbers will be through the roof, man.
We're waiting on him. It's up to
him. But hold on, let me see if there's any others. He worked on your irrigation system maybe a year or 2 ago, says Rio Rari.
Yeah. All right, Rari.
But man, thank you for your time, Andrew, man. I'm ready for the next one, as I said. I think anytime Valee's dropping anything, give us a shout. I'm ready for that live as well. And
yes, he's still on. He is still on Good Music. Def Jam.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh yeah, Nate New. What up, Nate? Damn, I haven't seen Nate New in a long time. Chris Crack, you just shout out Chris Crack. Definitely been playing a lot of Chris Crack this year.
Chris Crack as well. Okay.
And I met you at Sunday service. Shout out to you. Yeah. That was a fun day. That was right before the world shut down.
Oh wow! What did the Sunday services say? I didn't even know you were at those.
We had a Sunday service during All-Star Weekend, and it was right before that. Like we had NBA All-Star Weekend in Chicago, and it was crazy. So much stuff going on, and like literally the world shut down like 2 weeks later.
That's crazy, man. What are you saying to that new Kanye track?
No comment.
Have you seen the? I have to ask. Have you seen the Joe Rogan?
I met you at South by 2009. That was a long time ago, but yes, I was there. What up, Ashley? Seasick, very dope. Always a fan. What was the question? I'm sorry.
No. It's all good, man. It's all good. I've enjoyed this. What was the question? Damn, I might have forgotten myself. Damn. No, I was just wondering about the Kanye, Joe Rogan interview if you'd seen any of that. Where are you with that whole kind of thing? Are you just ignoring it, or?
Hey man, you know, you always got to listen to what Kanye has to say, whether you agree or not. So, you know, him and Valee were supposed to get together and working on some stuff. So hopefully we'll see him soon.
Okay, cool. What do you think of the JB and Chance tracks as Ugly Deli Meat?
You know, it's great. I'm glad it's on the charts. It's always good to see my guy Chance on the charts, burning it up, man, and you know, on SNL and all that. You know, shout out to them.
Wicked, man. Wicked. Andrew, man, thank you for your time, bro.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on here.
No, man, we'll hook it up again, I'm sure, at some point.
Let's do another, man. You gotta have me back on the show. I want to come back on and talk about some other stuff.
Mate, here for that.
You were holding my feet to the fire with the 3-album thing with Tupac. So, you know, maybe maybe we can just talk broader sense about something. We can talk about No Limit or Cash Money or whatever.
Definitely, man. Definitely, for sure. Whenever you launch your pod, mate, give me a shout and we'll promote on ours as well. So I'm ready. I'm waiting.
Okay, absolutely. We're gonna make that happen. We're gonna make that happen, baby. And when I'm coming to the UK when this is over. Period.
Boom. Let's do that. I'm ready. Fish and chips, pints, pubs. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you for tuning in, man. Thank you for tuning in.
My guy. Good talking to you. Thanks for having me. All right, peace.
Cheers, man. Peace.